Okay, welcome to the Big Blue United podcast. My name is Dan, and I'm here with my main man, Colin. How's it going, Colin?
It's going. It's exciting. We're recording on Tuesday because we were anticipating some big news today, and boy, did we get it.
And that big news is you can get a discount at DraftKings by using promo code TPPN. So make sure you hit up our boys at DraftKings, start placing bets. We've got golf coming. You know, the Grand Slams coming in golf. We've got baseball spring trainings underway. I'm sure you can gamble on that if you're insane. NCAA, March Madness, basketball's heating up. Bet on those Knicks, baby.
Oh yeah,
9-0 run right now.
Yes.
It's all good. Check that out. And also, before we get into the eventful day today as a Giant fan, we should talk about Hey Dude. Hey Dude, the amazing footwear that is sponsoring today's pod. Colin, what do you got to say about Hey Dude?
Well, first off, before I dive into how incredibly comfortable, stylish, and bold, and brave, and wonderful, and everything above, under the sun that you could say positive about the brand, please remember to use the code that they've been so gracious to give to us of BB20 for a $20 off of a $100 purchase of full-priced items. Since we last talked about Hey Dude, I have been able to extensively walk in these shoes, not proverbially, but literally and physically. And I do have to say, everything that they say about it is absolutely correct. It's had a trip to the grocery store with my wife. I had to do the old racing around the store with the cart and making sure you're ducking old ladies and making sure you're not hitting people near the produce section. And I felt like I was floating on there, to be honest. It was, and I looked pretty damn good while I was doing it. I mean, if you want to get a shoe that is not only comfortable, but stylish and different, this is definitely the brand to go to. I feel like I get stuck and rooted in a very typical style when it comes to especially my sneakers. And this is kind of, right out of left field, out of the box, crazy pattern styles. It's loud, but it's, stylish and pretty sweet. I love it very much.
And we're guys that care about sneakers. So that says a lot.
I mean, I send you pictures of sneakers that I think you were going to like.
Yeah, often. We've been doing it for like 20 years.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. And I know I'm constantly looking for shoes, specifically like ones that I can just throw on for, going outside, going or make a run to the store real quick. And if they're light and feathery and also provide that support, that's all you need. But Hey Dude also has sandals. They got sneakers for work, and they got wallabies, the more like casual look that you could wear almost anywhere, whether it's, casual at work or casual at a party. All sorts of sizes between 4 and 15. So even if you're a ginormous dude, you can wear Hey Dudes. And the thing that makes them different is they're made with revolutionary flex and fold technology. And that's shoes that add style and support to a normal pair while having a fraction of the weight. So it's support, lightness, and comfort all combined there. And really all you got to say is finding the right shoe is always hard. And Hey Dude makes it easy because they're ultra light and ultra comfortable. Your feet will thank you. So check out Hey Dude. I'm going to use this promo code for sure. Get something in the summertime, maybe something enough to put socks on for. That's my goal.
Exactly. That's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that with the shoes in particular that I got. They're perfect for that sort of thing. Slip them on, good to go.
Yeah. Speaking of feet and stuff you need to wear, when you're active, I need to, basically my mind went to this, and this is really weird. Daniel Jones signed, whatever, but I want to know what he's doing this instant to get better for next season. Now I don't care. There's no excuses. He put out that video of him, like doing that, like practical movements in the gym where he's like throwing sandbags and like ripping cords. He needs to go full on Rocky IV training session. He should try to grow a beard. I doubt that he can.
Thank you. Thank you. I think he can, and I think he should. And I think he should have a completely new outlook, moniker, even if he has his own new name, if he comes out and he says Danny Dimes in the garbage, I'm the Terminator now. That's what I would like to see. Some badassness.
Yeah, he should. I don't know if he's ever going to inspire with his words. So I'm thinking he goes essentially mute. Like
Ooh.
at press conferences, he just doesn't even say anything.
What if he goes the beast mode route and he just says, I get fined if I don't come here?
Something. He's just not endearing enough. I don't think that's going to fly.
I know.
So I guess this is to say that we'll go over the contract in a little bit, but I think the way it went down was sort of annoying and didn't engender a lot of goodwill to Daniel Jones. That being said, we can gripe about it. We don't have to love the guy. He's still ultimately going to have to prove it to us as true Giant fans. It's not going to be like this blind faith thing that I feel like some fans do, where they're just like, well, he must be good and he must deserve this. And he, got a winning record last year. And it's like, yeah, they had a winning record, but I don't think it was because of Daniel Jones and Daniel Jones alone.
I mean, we've talked about it. There's so many absolutely damning articles and facts and stats that just show that there has been many regressions in his game. And I know a lot of people would argue, well, maybe that is the product of the kind of system that they ran to utilize the positives in his game and not put him in a situation where he could possibly fail. I think they ran an offense that made sense for him. Well, with this deal, you know what that means? Shackles are off, baby. And if you can't do it, you're out. And you might be out sooner than later, too, depending on how this contract was put together.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that sort of cuts in a good way, because I think all season we've been giving most of the praise to Kafka and Dable for his Daniel Jones's ascent and his play and the offense's overall effectiveness. So for that brain trust to think that he's worth it, hopefully it was them that thinks he's worth this contract, then naturally he should be taking a step to evolve his game, seeing more than one half of the field. He has to see the whole field now. He has to, continue to rush and continue to rush for 700 yards, because if we're not factoring those 700 yards rushing, and how many rushing touchdowns was it? Like 8, 7,
I think. Yeah.
Then we're paying for a quarterback that throws for 200 yards and 15 touchdowns. And that's not $40 million a year. No. So just to recap for those of you that haven't been following this viciously, like Colin and I, they agreed to a 4-year, $160 million contract, $82 million guaranteed over the course of the first 2 years, with some sort of language about like, there's incentive. It's up to $35 million over the course of 4 years in incentives, 12 million of which are like virtually, locked in. I think it's just like super easy milestones for him to hit. So he'll likely have 92 million guaranteed over the 4 years. Important thing to know, while that breaks down to roughly 40 million average on the year, it is rumored that it will be a $19 million cap hit in year 1,
which is great. That's great for what
trying to
win. Yeah, just trying to gather some people to build this team and actually give him something more to work with, and then hopefully in turn have those that on the Twitter sphere have no more excuses, have no more things to say about how he doesn't have the weapons, or he doesn't have the offensive line, or he doesn't have the the supporting cast, whatever you're going to say. It's sort of all out the window now, and it's all on him, and it's a put up or shut up. And the more that I say it and I speak it aloud, the more I'm kind of pumped up about it, because I can imagine the conversations that Shane and company had with these agents, these new agents, and the agency that he switched to, which is very telling in retrospect that he switched to this agency. It probably wasn't going to go down like this if otherwise.
Well, did you hear that rumor that the asking amount that Daniel Jones wanted is the reason he left the prior agency, CAA? I saw a few tweets about it saying that when he told them he wanted over 45 million a year, they were like, that's not practical. Like, you're not going to get it. And like that started the division between that team over there and led him to leave.
And if true, power to that agency for being real about it. If they lost a client, so what? There'll be other clients.
Yeah.
And he
I mean,
might
I
not
don't know
even-
how true that is, but
well, that's what I mean. If it is
Yeah, yeah,
true, then
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's a big loss to them. I mean, it might be in the
no,
long
they're the
run.
biggest. Yeah, they're the biggest
Yeah,
sports
but
agency. Yeah.
yeah, they'll pick someone else up and it'll be just fine. But it's just so funny to think about. I mean, you look at him, you think about him as this seemingly team first, gosh darn it, golly, Southern
Yeah.
guy who's just quiet, and then you hear all this stuff, and I know a lot of it can be pumped up in the media, and the media itself can make him villainized and look worse than he actually is, but he didn't help himself at all. And I actually do think
In the negotiation process, like
no. Hey, this is ideal, especially if it is a possibility that even though it's a 4-year deal, it might be structured in a way that there might be an out for the team that
Right.
we've kind of seen floating around.
It is essentially a 2-year franchise tag,
which kind of rules.
Yeah, well, that was our number one concern, I think, before any of the negotiations got leaked. Before, like, right at the end of the season, I think we were in an interesting spot where we were, at the beginning of the season, pretty much like, can't wait to get rid of the guy. After seeing his performance, we're like, well, now we're in a weird spot because we don't really know what we have. Somehow, still, we know we have something better than we thought we had, but we don't know if it's, again, market setting great. And I think the one thing we could all agree on is that, regardless of the amount of money, we didn't want it to be a super long deal. If this was the previous regime, this would have been like a 6-year, $300 million deal that would have like just totally crippled us
half
for the
of it
foreseeable
guaranteed.
future. Yeah. So I think you're right. I think, there is potential for upside in Daniel Jones, whether you want to believe it or not. You have faith in the coaching staff that they know what they have and know what they can get out of them. You have room in the cap theoretically for them to create more space and bring in more guys that this front office wants. And if worse comes to worse, you can get out of it in 2 years. You can trade him next year if you want. Get out of it. Arch Manning's a freshman right now at Texas. We can continue that lineage. I don't know. Can Arch Manning run though? I don't want to go back to a pocket passer.
Yeah, I think that's part of what makes him stand apart from the rest of his family is that, although granted, I guess Peyton in high school and even a little bit of the beginning of college, he ran a little bit more, but he turned into a statue real quick. So I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. I mean, what I do have a question about is like, what does that mean after these 2 years? Would it be a clean break or there would be dead money there to deal with? I would imagine there'd have to be dead money.
I don't really know. And I don't know if you can know, but if all the guaranteed money is front loaded,
I guess
like
that's
it. Then what's the penalty?
Good point.
Maybe there's some sort of like prorated version of it for the incentive money they're leaving on the table or something like that. I don't know. This is all conjecture. I'm not a capologist or whatever, but to me, I think that is like the coup of the deal. People were outraged at first to see the number paying that much money for a guy that threw 15 touchdowns. But then when they dug in, they see that it's quite favorable as far as guaranteed money and the structure of it. Whereas like even like the Derek Carr, the guaranteed money is not as good as this.
And it might be, I mean, I wish we could be a fly on the wall in the conversations. It might be one of those things where they were able to come together because Jones relayed to his new agency that he is willing to work with them and he wouldn't mind a deal like this because he believes in himself so much. It's almost like a prove it deal over 2 years.
Yeah.
And he feels like he's going to do it and then eventually get an extension.
I mean, he's also guaranteed $82 million for a guy that is a middling quarterback. No one should feel like Daniel Jones did anyone fit.
No, what I'm saying is I feel like if he was someone else in a similar situation with better stats, a better track record, but like for whatever reason kind of fit into a contract structure like this, they might be a little bit more of somewhat more of a villain in the conversations. I mean, hey, we gave him his opportunity. He wasn't going to be drafted at 6 overall by anybody else.
No.
And it still is the same organization, even though the GM of the past is no longer around, thank God. But I still feel like he loves this place. He doesn't want to have to start over somewhere else. He's been through. Yeah. You would think. I mean,
I think he realizes he's in the most ideal situation as far as like coaching. Comfort and coaching.
Yeah.
But then like to get more upset about it, everything you heard from the news coming out of the combine, when everyone, just like the GMs and scouts are talking, they're all like, I can't believe the Giants are even entertaining these numbers. Like they're dealing against themselves. Like no one's going to give Daniel Jones a contract like this.
The look of exasperation on Dan Orlovsky's face on that one segment where he's just like, this is mind-boggling. I can't believe this is a possibility, like so on and so forth. And I think,
what did he say? He pretended he was on the phone with his 5th grade kids and told them to quit school and go throw a football.
Yeah. you might suck at it, but you'll get $82 million.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that's like discouraging. Maybe not so much Dan Orlovsky, but like there's always like, it's a very divided Twitter space right now. There's the guys that fancy themselves to be like analytical and like watch all 22 film and like watch everything and, actually know what is going on the field. And then there's just like fans that are like, I'm a diehard fan. I roll with the team no matter what. And all the analytics guys, all the film crunchers are like, not great, but I guess we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
And all the other dudes are like, congratulations, you did it, man. You earned it, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, we're still in the same spot. This was not a unifying event. But I think that's the way it's always going to be until you get someone like Anthony Richardson in the combine.
Well, it's funny you say that because you know what? I mean, I'm sure we've discussed this on the show before, but this divide, this insanity, I mean, yeah, the last 10 years of struggling and having pretty piss poor teams didn't help much, but Twitter really is the devil, and it's really divided everybody. Before Twitter, this wouldn't have been an issue. I mean, the majority of the years of Eli's career, Twitter basically didn't exist, if I remember correctly.
I mean, the majority, I guess.
A good chunk of it, anyway.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you just, rewinded or fast forwarded Eli's career and put it in like this time period, it would have been so much more insane.
Yeah. I mean, Eli wasn't doing himself any favors.
No.
But Eli like is probably passes the eye test less than Daniel Jones,
Exactly. There would have been more people at each other's necks if Twitter was around in 2004, 5, and 6 prior to him having the run.
4, 5, and 6, or 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Well, yeah. I mean,
when he was in his ankle rocket passing days, or he just those 5-yard ankle rockets.
What did we ever call those passes ankle rockets before?
That's what I called them in my brain. That was like half of his passes that he threw.
Oh, I never saw a worse touch on a 5-yard dump pass ever in my life. I love you, Eli, but Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
You want to tie on the other important news that
yeah. So also this like was insane. Like people were freaking out about like not having time to sign the deal because they were worried about franchise like tagging Saquon. Like get your priorities straight. Like I know you want to deal with Saquon, but like getting this deal right is by orders of magnitude more important.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think the news came out about the Daniel Jones deal at like 3:53 or something like that, leaving like 7 minutes to like tag Saquon. Saquon's
it was like an afterthought.
He's like, maybe I don't get tagged. Maybe I'll get out of this. Like psych.
Yeah.
So the Giants gave Saquon the non-exclusive franchise tag, which essentially is a $10.1 million 1-year deal. But he's able to go shop around. He can talk to other teams, see if anyone wants to sign him. The caveat is that
2
team would have to
first-round picks.
give us 2 first-round picks if we don't want to match their offer,
No one's
which
doing it.
would be amazing.
Oh yeah,
Would be awesome. Like, I've seen some people, I don't think Ryan Poles is that dumb, but like say like the Bears have like multiple first-round picks. Maybe they'll give us one this year and one next year for Saquon. I think they're way too smart for that. For almost anyone, but like, I don't know. What if someone falls in full bloom love with him? Someone like like Bill Belichick or
Denver
or the Raiders or something. You know, my hope is there's someone GM or head coach dumb enough to do it that like thinks like all their team is missing is Saquon. You know, maybe the teams that are in the back of the draft aren't dumb enough to do it. Because like if there was like if there was a team like that had a pick like over 25 and had like bad like management or front office, then they might be, well, Bijan Robinson is going to go in the top 10. Saquon is essentially him, just older. Yeah. Maybe I'll give a 29th pick and another first round pick.
That sounds insane. Yeah. That you're saying it, the words are coming out of your mouth, and it sounds insane. That's because there cannot be anyone outside of Dan Schneider or Jerry Jones dumb enough in this league to do something like that.
It would be sick if we could like amend the non-exclusive and be like, or we'll take like a second and a third.
Yeah.
Please.
See if someone's dumb enough to do that too.
Anyway, so Saquon's going to play. I think he'll probably play in the tag. I think they'll try to get a deal done. And unless they're going to get a deal done for more years, but less money per year, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we would ever do that.
It'll be incentive laden, I would have to imagine, if they do that.
Yeah. Like you have to play over 75% of the games and, you know, but so we have him for $10 million this year. We have DJ theoretically for 19. That's
pretty good.
29 million of the salary cap, leaving us like $8 million to play with. Maybe some people are going to get cut. Maybe some people are going to let go. We don't exactly know how much cap space we have to play with. I think someone like Leonard Williams is probably being stared at right now to either get cut or renegotiate.
Yeah.
You know, my first concern is what are we going to do about Dexter Lawrence, who can't extend him this year. With our limitations, but you know, like TJ said, we better have a plan in place for that, because I would really hate to lose him. He's the center of the defense.
He can't go, and
a truly elite talent.
Where is he at now? What are we at with him?
His contract?
Yeah,
I don't know. You can Google it.
Yeah, let me look it up. Keep going.
I mean, it's his rookie contract, right?
Yeah, I just of course.
But anyway, so I think in the days to come, we'll get more details about the contracts, more details about free agency, what we're looking at. We've already talked about wide receivers we'd like. I think you can kiss like Andre Hopkins goodbye. I don't think we like that idea anyway. We don't want an older guy. If we could land Paris Campbell or McCole Hardman, that'd be great. I don't think Cincinnati's going to let T. Higgins out of the house, let alone we could ever afford him now. Brandon Ayuk, don't think we could afford him either. But we look to the draft, and there are some interesting guys. We had the combine this week. But before we do that, actually, I just wanted to touch on the other big news in NFL contracts is Lamar Jackson, and I'd be remiss not to discuss that now.
Sure.
Lamar Jackson got a non-exclusive franchise tag.
He's probably pissed.
I mean, yes, definitely pissed. Definitely a weird situation in that he represents himself. His mom is his agent.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. The normal conventions of negotiation do not apply.
Oh, that's not great for him, I feel. I mean,
maybe
it is.
I don't know. I don't know that it's definitely way more risky. You know, he could shift, you know, just by relying on his natural ability. Like if someone believes in him, could shift like the power sway between franchises and players if he could pull something off, but ultimately he's probably doing himself a disservice. He's keeping it in house and probably not, doesn't kick all that money to an agent.
I hope they got good lawyers though.
The interesting thing is, so he's available to anyone that wants him, that wants to give up 2 first-round picks. And that is a deal that I was hoping the Giants would do. I was hoping the franchise news would come out about Lamar and the Giants would be like, see ya, Daniel. Because that is a player, if you can get comfortable around his injury status and his inability to sort of finish a season because of how much, his build and the amount of hits he takes, that is truly a elite talent that's already proven it. That you wouldn't think twice about giving 2 first-round picks for. So just interesting to see what happens. The early reports are a lot of teams are saying they're not interested. I don't know if that's a strategy or not. If that's true, that's insane. There are plenty of quarterback needy teams. And if you're, the Panthers or the Atlanta or, Texans or whatever, and you're like, nah, we wouldn't even want to bother with that. That's very suspicious.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Feel bad for Baltimore fans, but maybe they got to think that they're going to get 2 first-round picks, and then you could really rebuild a team. And they have one of the smartest front offices, and they'll probably be in good shape. If they do get the picks, and if they don't, they still have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So,
and do they have any sort of? I mean, I know Lamar has, at least seemingly in the media, shown that he doesn't want to be there. So do you think there's any coming back from that and he end up staying there at all?
I mean, it would be such a massive story if no one picks up. Anyone could take him right now if they give up 2 first-round picks.
They might,
and can pay him over $32 million or whatever.
I have a gut feeling that he's not going to get picked up by anybody, and they're scared of his injury history.
I mean,
2 first-round picks,
but look what they did with Deshaun Watson, and he didn't even know if he's gonna. He didn't play He played 2 games last season, and
that's the worry.
A criminal.
But
it wasn't because of an injury. It was because he was, involved with horrible off-field stuff. Lamar Jackson is just Well, in any case, just felt like raising that before talking about the combine, which we now look to as we start doing more and more mock drafts every week. I think, from our perspective, the guy that we talked about all year long was Anthony Richardson, and he put on a show.
His accuracy was garbage, though. I will throw that out there.
I don't think it was garbage. I think it wasn't as good as Stroud's, who he threw right before, who had arguably what people are saying the best passing performance in combine history.
Really?
Oh yeah. He just handed the ball off to people 70 yards down the field. I thought his pass performance was pretty good. It wasn't nearly in the same level accuracy wise, but he also flicked 65-yard bombs like it was nothing.
No, it's Josh Allen all over again with more talent. That's basically what that is.
Yeah, and more speed. He's 6'4", 245 pounds, ran a 4.43. He's
jumped
essentially
out of the building, basically.
He's essentially Derrick Henry as a runner, and got Josh Allen cannon arm. But the thing that's different is he has such a tiny sample size in college. Didn't perform exceptionally well. The team had a losing record. He played 13 games. But if you believe in those raw skills, they're the best anyone's ever seen, comparable only to Cam Newton, perhaps. Just an exciting prospect who will likely be locked in the first 5 picks of the draft. Someone's going to take him. Someone's going to jump up there if they have to. Can't wait to see what he does. Otherwise, like you said, CJ Stroud from Ohio State had a nice performance. He didn't do a lot of the drills, but he passed and he looked incredible. I think that improved his stock. Yeah. Bryce Young measured himself, but did nothing else. He's about your size, Colin. still think he's going to be a good player, but the questions about his size remain. Still likely to go number 1, I believe. And then other stuff just seemed to be no superstars, but just a lot of interesting speed performances. That tackle from Pittsburgh, I forgot his like Giannis something or other, 6'1", 280 pounds, something like that. That ran like a sub 4.5 40.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle. That was interesting.
The Northwestern guy too. I'm not even going to bother trying
the defensive end.
No, or DT, D end, whatever. I can't even.
He ran like a 4.45. A bunch of linebackers ran in the 4.4s.
But they're all small. That's what's weird about this is a linebacker draft that is like all tiny dudes in the whole scheme of things.
There's a couple. Trenton Simpson and that dude from Texas are like tall, but they're thin.
Well, I mean, what I mean by that is like not the predominantly.
They're not like thumpers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a couple middle linebacker dudes like that dude from Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Who's big and like
just a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just thought there's like interesting player profiles, interesting attributes. We don't have to go through the whole thing. This is one of the things that Colin and I do like a lot, but instead let's go 1 for 1 for 1 for 1, 1 offense, 1 defense for each of us. So Colin, who do you want to highlight on offense?
Well, because this is a draft where I think we need to desperately shore up the wide receiver room, as this past year made so achingly clear. I tend to not try to go to the obvious guy, especially in this case. I think this would be mid to late round kind of situation, but a guy with speed and height and size in general, and also sort of a local guy in terms of his college, from Princeton, Andre Ayasevis. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I feel like that's
a tricky one.
I think it's the opposite way that TJ would pronounce it. So
it must be right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be. It might be Ayasevis. That actually sounds like it's possible too. Anyway, he went to Princeton. But he's from Honolulu, Hawaii. He's 6'3", 205. His prospect grade is 6, and kind of like a, talent to be an above average backup. But who knows? That could mean like a second or maybe a third wide receiver. He ran a 4.43, pretty good. 10-yard split, 1.5, vertical jump 39, which is decent.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, I don't know, the fact that he's a Princeton guy, I feel like the Giants have a history of having local players somehow ending up on the team, and sometimes having fairly decent roles.
Yeah. If he does a pro day or something at Princeton, they'll certainly be there.
Oh, they'll be there 100%. And they'd be more inclined to throw out a flyer for someone like that. He has a real chance of getting on an NFL roster. So I feel like with this coaching staff, you can coach someone up like this who could possibly be raw but has the size. You can't teach size and speed, and he's got both of that. So
yeah,
he's got great jumping ability.
It's the kind of guy you want to take a flyer on in the 4th round.
Exactly.
And you like the measurables. You like he's tall. You like he's fast. If Isaiah Hodgins is any indicator of what this team can do with those attributes, might be cool to take a shot on him.
I mean, like some of the combine ranks, some are better than others. I mean, just in pure athleticism, that ranking, whatever the NFL, system that they have, he's 9th overall of all wide receivers, which, there's going to be a lot coming out. So that's nothing to shake a stick at. So
yeah. And there's, the wide receiver group is seems like 75% of the guys are like 5'10" and shorter.
Yeah.
So interesting group. Speaking of physical freaks, my pick to discuss briefly here is Darnell Washington, the tight end from Georgia. 164 pounds, 6'7", with a roughly 7-foot wingspan.
Wait. You said 164 pounds. That can't be.
264 pounds. Excuse me. Sorry.
That's a real skinny tight end.
Yeah. Blew that. But yeah, he definitely didn't have a ton of production in college, which is why he is not, Pitts level tight end talk, I think. He only had 45 receptions for 774 yards and 3 touchdowns in his entire career at Georgia. But just one of these things where if you see this guy in the second round, you sort of got to take him, I think. He's just massive. They have this clip of him pushing the sled, and then they show the other guys pushing the sled, and it's just like night and day. It's like if I push a sled, then I have my 4-year-old push a sled. It just like looks entirely different.
Wow.
The thing that people are getting most hyped about, he ran a decent 40-yard dash, is 4.6440. That's pretty fast for a 6'7" guy. But his 20-yard shuttle was the third best in the entire combine. So the shuttle is more of a quick feet kind of drill, changing directions, that kind of thing. And he was behind. He ran it in 4.08 seconds behind Jackson Smith, Najiba, who would probably be my number 1 pick for wide receiver if he falls to 25, and Julius Brents from Kansas State, a cornerback. Both of these guys are, probably 6 feet tallish. This guy's 6'7". So that's the kind of thing you want to like see how it happens in the field. If we're not going to get Anthony Richardson, this would be a nice consolation prize to see something truly unique on a football field.
You know what that sounds like? This sounds like the offensive version of JPP coming out.
Yeah.
I wonder how his backflips are.
I bet he can do something.
Yeah.
He's taller than JPP though.
Yeah, that's true.
I think, people are talking about him and sort of comparing him already to like the freaks of the position in Travis Kelce and more like Gronkowski probably. Just like, because he's going to be able to block. He's primarily a blocker in college. Yeah. If we're having trouble with Evan Neal, you put this guy next to him, and that's a lot of man meat on the right side, dude.
It's a handcuff. They'll help each other out. Yeah. Sure.
And I'd like to see someone mark him in the end zone and keep including our success at the goal line, throwing a little peel route to him in the red zone there. Anyway, we're dragging a bit. What you got for defense, Colin?
Well, this is a guy that this is going to be a strange thing to say, but for whatever reason, his last name seems to be something that I can picture on the back of the jersey of the New York Football Giants, and that is Lucas Van Ness. Edge rusher, kind of a tweener. He's he's kind of on the bigger side. His nickname in college at Iowa was Hercules because of his physique. He's you ever see a picture of this guy? That is that's a man. It's a man, and he will push other men around. And as for the combine scores, he ranked 7th total score out of all edge rushers. And I'm not entirely sure, you might know better than I, where he's currently slated or mocked. I think it's 3rd or later, if I remember correctly. But,
a 3rd round?
Yeah.
I think he's mocked much higher than that.
Is it higher than that? Yeah. I guess since the combine happened, it might have changed. I was seeing a wide range before, but he's kind of the guy that looks like he would be a giant. We do need to shore up our defensive line. We're probably going to have, as you said before, some departing people. I'm looking at the Leonard Williams of the world because of their bloated contracts and such, and this could be a nice influx of somewhat cheaper talent coming in through the draft. He's well developed. He's one of those power rusher kind of guys that can bull rush people over, and he's pretty good against the run. So if you're good against the run, you can work on your pass rush, and that's a perfect kind of situation to come into as a rookie, because you can be coached up on that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he needs some work on his I don't know, his hand attacks and shedding blocks and such. But that, again, that's like a thing that could be coached up. He's got a lot of natural raw talent. He's just, he's a block of muscle. And we're always looking at edge rushers. I feel like the Giants, as long as they're going to be in existence, is always going to be looking to shore up something like that. And this guy kind of, bit of film that I've watched on some of these players coming out, he was pretty dominant against the competition at that level, just kind of throwing people around. You love to see that sort of thing.
Yeah. He's definitely an interesting prospect. I do think he's probably a first rounder, though.
First round, yeah.
Yeah. First, second for sure.
Hey, if he's there at 25, I wouldn't hate picking him.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. We could use some edge rushing backups. I feel like in my mock drafts, I've been taking that guy from Northwestern, whose name we haven't attempted to pronounce, which we'll work on later, and I can't recall it off the top of my head. And then there's another guy with a similar confusing name from Kansas State. Very sort of measurable, sort of different kinds of players than Van Ness from what I've read. And that was more in the second round. But yeah, no, I think defensive line is still a priority. We would love to get a linebacker, but I would probably go interior defensive line or edge rusher before that. And I think I'd go. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of sort of interesting players there. But I think I'd probably go cornerback if I'm targeting a defensive position first. And the one I wanted to talk about was Deonte Banks from Maryland. I think he's got a lot of great things about him. He's got great size. He's aggressive. He's strong. He's tall. He has a relative athletic score, that those RAS scores of 9.99. So that sort of measures size, explosion grade, speed grade. He's got elite speed, elite explosion, and good size. He's 6'1", 197 pounds. And from what I've read, he can play press corner. He can rush. He seems like a kind of guy that a Wink Martindale defensive coordinator would love to have. And we need help at cornerback pretty bad. We need, because we have a bunch of guys that are probably decent depth guys, but not, a lockdown corner. And I think he could be a lockdown corner. A few guys are probably better than him, and Gonzalez from Oregon, and what's his name? Devin Witherspoon from Illinois. But I think he's probably the third best in the mix in the second tier, and should be there at 25 if we stand pat. I'd be happy getting him, and then filling out, wide receiver, interior offensive line, one of those aforementioned interior tackles or tight ends or something. There's a lot of tight ends. I like a tight end in the third round, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think he would be a great guy to target in the first round. So that's my pick, Deonte Banks. I had Deonte Banks and Darnell Washington. You had Lucas Van Ness and
Andre Iacivas.
Iacivas from Princeton, right? The late round pick.
Although, I mean, you could throw the Joey Porter in there too for
Joey Porter. Yeah. I mean, again, at 25, Joey Porter would be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Another sort of guy that would be really cool to see, because he's got so many just great physical characteristics.
And I just love the idea of his father being around the Giants organization and just kind of putting that mojo around.
Yeah, for sure. Porter Jr. is a strong cornerback last name too.
Sure is.
In my head, like a lot of cornerback last names, like fast last names. Porter Jr. is like a muscly last name.
Like throw some muscle around, throw some steel around.
Yeah. And I think he's the kind of guy that could lay a hammer too, which is nice. I love like this like hybrid versatility that's starting to happen in the secondaries, where like linebackers are starting to get like getting deep coverage, and safeties are playing linebacker, and
Yeah.
cornerbacks are playing
tackling.
safety, and just like
Yeah.
total amorphous like nonsense. It was really fun.
Oh, the modern NFL is getting real weird. That's for sure. It's not our father's NFL. That's for sure.
No. And I don't know, for the most part, outside of like the catch rule and some of the officiating going on, I'm pretty glad, because, you know, that was just a different sport than this is a wildly different looking sport.
Sure is.
With way higher level athleticism. I just wish they would, I think I made this pitch before. I just think they should get rid of replay or challenges or fixing calls. Just whatever the calls in the field, like, that's it. We're moving on. Let's keep it going. I don't want to watch replays for 20 minutes.
Well,
like,
or
no one knows what a catch is. They can't get the rule straight. Just like,
yeah.
if the ref thinks it was a catch, it was a catch. Let's keep it going.
God,
no one's ever happy. No one's ever happy after it.
That's a whole episode of conversation right there.
Yeah. Well, the XFL has a new way to review plays, which is pretty interesting. We'll talk about it another time.
XFL is great. I've been enjoying it, actually. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. They're like the Somers Hurricanes of travel soccer.
Sure. Yeah. That's exactly. Yeah. Not the Eagles or the Talons. But,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. I had a pleasure talking, Colin. Everyone send mail to TJ. He's very upset he can't make it. He's very busy this week. Big things happening at Teddy's Bar and Grill. If you're in the neighborhood, hit him up. Tell him you listen to the pod, and he's going to give free drinks to anyone that listens to the pod. Go bet on DraftKings. Use promo code TPPN. Follow us at Twitter, BBU Podboys, and at Big Blue United. Get some shoes on your feet. Get some Hey Dudes. They're really comfy. It's like walking on clouds. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we'll think of something. And we'll see you later. Thanks.
Peace.